What's up, guys? Stan here from Rocky Creek. Today we got to get farm chores done. We got to get the garden worked on if the weather cooperates. It's like I can't get a break to get that started. And we got to get the chickens cleaned up in the garage because they starting to get stank. So let's go.
As you can see, I'm a bit behind on packaging of my eggs. I gotta make sure I get that done here in the next day or two. I got a lot of people asking for eggs and I just don't have them packaged up, so we get that done this week hopefully and get them out to people who need them. Grocery stores around here have been super short, so it's been kind of cool to be able to help out some people who really need to get their hands on some. So it's kind of great about raising your own chickens. Never-ending supply of eggs. Good. Like that new hay? Hey, you have your own hay. Why are you eating his? You have your own hay. Don't be like that. As you can see, the babies are starting to figure out everything on their own. I've noticed they've been eating more food on their own, and just yesterday they started using this water on their own. Still drinking milk from mom, but it seems like it's getting less and less. Mom's still eating a good bit, but it seems like she's not eating as much, so that leads me to think that they're starting to become more self-sufficient. So that's a good sign. But I find it amazing at how much feather growth they've already got, especially these Freedom Rangers. But I will say, when you feel these guys compared to the Cornish crosses, they have more feathers, but they seem longer, where when I grab one of these Cornish crosses, it's definitely a different feel in the body. Like, they feel thicker, but they're shorter. So I'm interested to see how that plays out when it's all said and done.
want to show you something new that I tried to make the other day. That's what I'm talking about, just making stuff homemade sometimes can work out. So I had seen another video on YouTube, and it's how you can learn from these people, and where they had taken hardware cloth and put it on some boards, and they put the feeder and the waters on it to try to keep stuff out of it. And I had some of this left over from when I made my rabbit's cage, and I just found some old boards, used my air compressor, stapled it to it, and I've been using this in the egg layers now for about the last week. And it's actually worked out really well. The only thing that I would have done differently is I didn't have long enough boards to make this. You can see where I got a gap there and a gap there. So some stuff's kind of collecting right there, but had I had enough board to make this smooth all the way across, I actually think it would have worked really well, because now the stuff's just falling through there, and it's not getting in the actual food and the water, and so it seems to not be as much of a mess. You're still always going to have a little bit, but this seems to be working out really good. So if you have some scrap fencing from whatever, you know, pin or whatever that you built, save it, because you can do something small like this. So this worked out really good. I think I might end up doing one of these for the meat chickens when they get a little bit bigger here pretty soon. So you got them all settled in, fresh bedding, feeder, waters, everybody's good to go now. So guys, I've raised several Americanas in the past, but I've never had one with like kind of this reddish color. So I'm really interested to see how this Americana or Easter egger turns out. And I noticed its legs have kind of like a palish green or blue color, which I know that that's normal for them, but I've just never had one that turned out like a reddish color. So I'm pretty interested to see how this one ends up looking when it's full grown. It's pretty cool. All right, you guys, so this is my garden for 2020. This is kind of the setup I've decided to go with. It's kind of a mixture of some different channels that I followed. Most of what I've done here is similar to what's on a channel called Living Traditions Homestead. Of all the channels, that's probably the one in particular that I have probably learned the most from. I've learned some from a few others that I follow. The biggies is Arms Family Homestead, Living Traditions, and Cog Hill. Now there's a few others that I follow, and I learned some from all of them, but some are more entertainment. So I've covered the whole thing, and I'll show you kind of what I do to make the holes to plant the plants. I think the weather's going to cooperate enough. I wasn't sure, but basically it's just got a ground cover. It's a woven ground cover so water can get through and air can come through, but it'll keep the weeds down. And then I used my old poultry fencing, electric netting from Premier One, to hopefully keep some of the animals out from messing with it. So we'll go inside and we'll start working on what we got to work on. Real quickly, this is the Energizer that I use for the electric netting. Like I said, it's Premier One right here, the IntelliShock 60. To turn it on and off, you just push this button right here, and you can't see it because it's daytime, but if I put my hand over it, it'll blink green, meaning that it's good to go. Green and red means that it's starting to get low. Red means that the battery's about to die. But there's a tester too, but basically just push that button, it cuts it off, and you can access right in. It works really, really well. So we're not gonna be planting all of these. These are all starts that I put in. I bought basically just a little patio style greenhouse from Tractor Supply online. It was like 40 bucks, I think, $39.98. And I tell you what, it's done really well. I'm not planting all this stuff today. Some of this stuff can't go in, I'll be honest, where I'm kind of a rookie at big time gardening. Some stuff I probably started too early, and it's gonna end up going to a waste, and I'll have to reseed later on. But the biggest thing I wanted to get in particular is this lettuce. It's getting just way too big for what it's in, and I want to get those in the ground. That's my hopes for today. I got some cabbage and stuff I wouldn't mind getting in if it works out. So, but we're gonna see what we can get done, and we'll just kind of go from there. You know, every animal I have here on my property has a purpose. Originally, I got the rabbits for two things: fertilizer, because rabbit manure is some of the best for a garden, and it's considered a cold manure, so you can put it directly on, versus like chicken manure and cow manure, you gotta let it break down. But rabbit manure, you can put it straight on, is really good. So what I'll use this as a top dressing when I put each plant in their hole. Just to kind of help give it some nutrients throughout the time. I had originally got the rabbits for both processing and this, but after my wife saw the first batch of cuteness that came out of the first litter that we had, they've somehow transitioned now to fertilizer and just kind of breeding them and selling the babies from there. So that's kind of how that's worked out. So with this stuff, when I'm planting, you don't want to cut it. If you cut this type of a fabric, then it can run the risk of fraying when winds come. So these are some onion sets that I had planted here recently. You can see this guy is trying to pop through. I just broke it off. Hopefully it'll be fine. But so all I did was I just took this little butane lighter here, and it will actually just melt a perfect hole for you. And then you kind of just get your fingers in there and you dig it out and you put the plant in from there. So guys, that's basically, in the garden today, we were able to get in Brussels sprouts, okra, cabbage, carrots, radishes, and lettuce. The big thing I want to get in today was lettuce. The other stuff, I don't know if it's time yet or not. You know, some days are good, some days are bad here when you're doing this type of stuff. Honestly, today in the garden, even though it sounds like I got a lot done, today was kind of a discouraging day. I'm trying to use the native soil that I have here on the property to see how well it does. And I'll be honest with you, even though I tilled it and spent a lot of time on it, I'm not real confident in it. And it's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but you know what? Hey, it is what it is. We're gonna give it a try. We'll get out of it what we can. If I need to change things up next year, we'll do it then, but for this year, we're gonna roll with what we got. We're gonna get it done. You know, I don't have infinite amount of money. At the end of the day, you gotta do what you can with what you got. Don't put off doing something because you don't have the exact perfect setup in order to do it. You know, gardening and stuff, it's not going to hurt anything. A little bit of time, a lot of it's your effort is going to be wasted if things don't go well. But anyways, you just got to do the best you can with what you got. We'll update you as the weeks go as to how the garden's going, what's working, what's not working. There's still a lot of area that we need to get planted in here. So we'll keep you up to date on that. If you got any comments or suggestions on things here in the garden, by all means, please let me know. So guys, that's gonna wrap everything up for today. You know, I hope that these videos are getting better as time goes. I'll be honest with you, when I did that first one, I'm not gonna lie, I had pucker butt pretty bad. I didn't know how to act, what to say, and I thought, you know, hey, this is kind of odd. This isn't normal for me. But you know, then I just reminded myself that if somebody else hadn't done something like this, I would not have done probably 90% of what I've done. You know, it was the confidence of watching those people that had no experience, and they just jumped for it. You know, that I wouldn't do this right now. And so my hopes is that, you know, even if only a couple people get enough confidence to do this, or maybe try something else that's out of their comfort zone, you know, then it's well worth it. So I just try to remind myself of that. I'm getting more comfortable with it as it goes. I hope that each video has gotten better for you as I've gotten used to this a little bit more. I'm not going to say I'm fully used to it yet. I'm still kind of awkward. I think my neighbors might think I'm crazy and that I talk to myself. I'm not real sure. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you coming by. I appreciate you checking out the videos. If you have any questions about anything, you know, hit me up in the comments below. I like interacting with those that have commented so far. I've also received a couple emails, which has been pretty cool. So, but if I can be of any help with anything, or if you have any recommendations for me on some of the stuff that we've been doing, you know, feel free. That's how I've been learning. Let's work this out together. Let's help each other out. So, but until then, y'all stay safe, and we'll see you here on the next video.